Coming up, Bridgewater, Rainham, and Brockton take part in a Thanksgiving game that comes down to the wire.
So we've just about seen it all here today.
Residents thank those that have fought for our freedom in this year's Tri-Town Veterans Day ceremonies.
This is a special day on the calendar in our country when we take pause to thank all the brave men and women that have served this country past and present.
And the community comes together in this, the season of giving. We'll have these stories and more coming up on the Bridgewater Review.
Thank you for watching this edition of the program. I'm Scott Olson.
And I'm John Luck. The BR Trojans and Brockton Boxers continued their Thanksgiving rivalry with the matchup this year taking place in the City of Champions. The season, record-wise, hasn't gone the way BR intended, but a win could certainly boost the spirits of a young football team. Brian Berard has more.
Cape Cod Cafe Cup took place Thanksgiving morning at Brockton's Marciano Stadium. The Boxers looked to capture just their second win against BR on Thanksgiving, while BR looked to get win number 4 on the year. Both teams had to deal with severe cold and wind, which made the passing game pretty much non-existent. The first half was a slow-moving, low-scoring affair, which saw the Trojans take a 3-0 lead thanks to a 21-yard field goal by Liam Stewart in the second quarter. In the third quarter, it was all BR as they were running the ball at ease until an Anthony Morrison fumble led to a 65-yard scoop and score by a Johnny Horn, which gave the Boxers a 6-3 lead and all the momentum. Trailing by 3, the Trojans' offense methodically moved the ball down the field and used the old Philly special to gain the 10-6 lead after Anthony Morrison threw to Austin Hartzell for the 22-yard touchdown. Now, what made this play unique is that Anthony Morrison was the quarterback this year for BR, so I think it's pretty safe to say he had some practice throwing the ball to Austin Hartzell, who played quarterback in this one. With only 3 minutes and 1 second remaining on the clock, the BR defense stymied the Boxer offense all morning. On Brockton's final drive, they had a questionable offensive pass interference call on them, which sent the Brockton sideline wild, costing them not one, but 2 15-yard penalties, setting up a 1st and 40. Brockton head coach Peter Colombo said, "I thought it was over. I thought we dug too deep a hole, and then Amik made a great play, and we finished it off." And that play was a 52-yard reception by Amik Watterson to set up a 1st and 10 at the BR 22 with under a minute and a half left to go. Slowly but surely, the Boxer offense worked their way down to the 2-yard line, where Michael Norman Jr. ran it in with 18 seconds left, giving the Boxers a thrilling 13-10 victory. Now, this was the first Cape Cod Cafe Cup in which longtime Brockton head coach Armand Colombo wasn't on the sideline, and the Boxers made sure that they won one for Armand. Coming up later in sports, a local soccer player signs her national letter of intent to play for Division I, and BSU men's and women's basketball start off their seasons.
All right, Brian, obviously this year didn't go the way BR wanted to go record-wise. With 25 seniors gone before the season started, this looked like a year of growing and maybe just a hiccup in the road.
Yeah, I think it was, John. I mean, BR was pretty much the dominant team that whole game, but, you know, this is, as we mentioned, the second time that Brockton has beaten BR on Thanksgiving Day. But remember, the one time that Brockton and BR played in a meaningful game was in the playoffs back in 2015, and Brockton ended up actually winning in that game. So, you know, these seasons happen. I mean, I think the last time this happened for BR was nearly 10 years ago when they finished under 500. But, you know, it's a growing season for BR, and, you know, they have a lot of guys returning next year, so we'll see how the Trojans offense does next year.
The day before Thanksgiving, as we all know as adults, can serve as a hectic time with travel plans, dinner plans, cooking, and everything else.
Like trying to pick out your turkey hat. But for students at Bridgewater Rainham Regional High School, the day before Thanksgiving means a chance to have some fun, and that was the case at this year's pep rally. This is one of the few times during the school year that students from all 4 classes are in the same room. Students saw a performance by the cheerleaders and football team and a scavenger hunt that was called right down the middle, including a big teddy bear that was put in a basket, but we'll get to that later.
A test of strength was on in this year's tug of war, and the finalists featured the juniors against the seniors, and this was close early on with the juniors getting the advantage early, but eventually the class of 19 got the win. The day was capped off by a dance-off and a day sweep for the seniors, but safe to say everybody had a blast before Thanksgiving break. This past Veterans Day fell on the 242nd birthday of the United States Marines and the centennial commemoration of the end of World War I. Veterans Day ceremonies took place across the country, and that includes the annual Tri-Town Parade in East Bridgewater. Residents and local government came out to thank those who have and continue to fight for our freedom.
Today in the United States, we have 20 million veterans, a little more than 20 million. Veterans who embody the American spirit, veterans who have worked selflessly and tirelessly to preserve our heritage of freedom. We, the 300 million Americans who benefit from our veterans and our veteran service, should not only be thankful, we should honor all of them by living mindful of the sacrifices made, reflective in the freedoms we enjoy, and remembering that the 11th day of the 11th month is a day to promote enduring peace and unity for all Americans.
8th graders at Bridgewater Middle School had an opportunity to talk to more than 30 local veterans before the Veterans Day weekend. This has become a tradition with an opportunity for students to talk to those that fought in wars from Vietnam to recent conflicts in a relaxed classroom atmosphere. During the day, classrooms and hallways were decorated with homemade signs by the students and pictures of veterans from the families of both students and teachers. During the council's meeting on November 13th, the idea of possible reconstruction of the common in the center of town was discussed. This goes back to a discussion the town had 4 years ago involving 3 potential outcomes. Option number 1 would feature fewer crosswalks, however there would be more parking, including potential parallel parking. Option number 2 would have the least dramatic changes, taking away a couple of crosswalks, potentially easing traffic flow around the common. Option 3 features the most drastic changes. There would be two-way traffic on the side of the common coming off of Bedford Street. Meanwhile, on the other side, there would be raised pavement that would be meant more for foot traffic and some parking. Regardless of any changes, which again are just starting to be discussed and may actually not even happen for years, the shape of the common would remain the same.
During this discussion among the councilors, Vice President Dennis Gallagher made the point that whatever happens with the common, it should be made into a destination, not just a throughway for Route 18 traffic.
I certainly think that something needs to get done. I think this is a good start. My whole thing would like to see the common become a destination area, not a cut through. And I think that's pretty much what it's used for now. It's people coming from Middleborough want to get through to get to go down 18 or into Brockton. I like to see it become more destination friendly with music alley in the summer and maybe other things that come down the road.
Could there be some late arrivals in Bridgewater? If the MBTA gets their way, that may just be the case. Keolis, who is in charge of servicing the commuter rail, wants to run trains that depart from South Station in Boston and go through Bridgewater after midnight. Right now, the final inbound train to Boston leaves Bridgewater around 9:30 on weeknights, and the final train that departs from Boston South Station comes to our area around 11:15 p.m. The town manager heard input from the councilors, and most of them would like to see later running service, along with a recommendation of another train between 8 and 10:30 p.m. He will take these comments and concerns to a meeting with the MBTA coming up at a later date.
Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is celebrated on November 1st. Originating in Mexico, this serves as an opportunity to remember family and friends and others that have passed on. Here in Bridgewater, there was a candlelight vigil held at Bridgewater United Methodist Church, remembering loved ones of those in attendance, as well as the 11 people killed and more injured in a synagogue shooting in the Pittsburgh area earlier this fall, and another pair of victims killed in a shooting in Kentucky.
This has been an incredibly trying time in the last few weeks, with an amazing amount of sadness, loss, grief, anxiety, and fear. And so we decided as an interfaith and ecumenical group that it was time for us as a community to come together, to celebrate life, to mourn those who have passed, and to be in community with one another and show solidarity for our siblings who are currently mourning their dead and their loss as well.
Tonight we call on one another with hope in our hearts. We call on our neighbors and our friends, strangers and families to remember the fallen, that their memories may live on. To respond to hate and violence with love and peace. To dare to hope for a more perfect present and future as we learn from our past.
There were pastors and ministers from around Bridgewater and East Bridgewater who joined the service, where there were calls for peace across not just the churches, but across the country.
No longer can we ignore the damage that has been done or condone future transgressions against our climate, our natural world, and one another. Let us listen and remember to secure the future for all generations and all creation.
Coming up, the holiday season means the season of giving in Bridgewater, and we'll highlight that as the largest donation in the short history of a popular fundraiser was made to a worthy cause.
Plus, 'tis the season to be merry and joyous, but could too much holiday music early in the season be a bad thing? We'll have the answer to that coming up.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well,
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Hey, Fozzie, it's really nice out here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Well, I think I got something. Yeah, Kermit, I got... Kermit? That's the 3rd can I caught today. How'd those things get in there?
Well, people sometimes wander by and just toss stuff into the water.
Well, don't they understand how important clean water is to fish in and to swim in and to make a decent glass of lemonade with?
Yeah, we all forget sometimes. Water is something we have to conserve and keep clean.
Sounds easy enough.
You know, if you'd like some free tips from my friends at the National Wildlife Federation on how you can use water wisely, write to Kermit, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. 20036.
Who are you talking to?
This year's BPD 5K and Kids 1 Mile Fun Run was another success, and the funds from this year's race went to the organization America's Vet Dog. We introduced you to the group earlier this year as they placed dogs with veterans and first responders with disabilities. Earlier this month, a check with the biggest donation from the 5K was awarded to the organization. The $6,000 check will go towards helping a young puppy grow up in the program, and thanks to the donation, the dog will be named Cruiser.
So we like to find a charity that means something to someone on the board or is very involved in the community. My family's worked with America's Vet Dogs for several years. They make a connection between prisoners, community, and the police department, which is a really unique niche that they can bring all those different aspects together.
Obviously, when Rebecca comes forward and she says, look, I have a worthy organization, I trust her judgment. She's done a lot of work on the road race, but also this, what I've learned about America's Vet Dogs, a very worthwhile organization helping a lot of people out there. So we're very fortunate that we're able to do this through Rebecca's efforts, the road race, people in the community, but also through the organization itself. America's Vet Dog has been very helpful too.
It's been a pleasure to be a part of the community in a little bit of a different way. You know, we have a great partnership with correctional facilities in Massachusetts, but having that direct community reach really means so much, and you guys have just brought so much to America's Vet Dogs and helping us get more dogs into the hands of veterans, so that's been really wonderful.
The check presentation also served as an opportunity to announce the beneficiary for next year's BPD 5K and Fun Run. The 2019 race beneficiary will be Molly's Vesta Dog.
Molly works with a lot of different organizations that help provide bulletproof vests and other equipment for canine officers, and she's got all those connections. So it makes sense for us to support her, and she can figure out who is best served by that donation in the community. And she was very young, and she started this organization. Instead of birthday gifts, she wanted to do something to give back and help the canines, and so that's how she got started in that. She's been doing this for years, and she's 16, 17 years old now, and this is a big part of who she is, and it's a really great way to support the community, support the police officers and the canines, and make sure they're well equipped as well.
Some great work done by the organization there. Now, if you've driven through the Common recently, you may have seen the popular decorations are back in place, including Santa's workshop and, of course, somebody's favorite here, the train.
That's right, John.
Now, these were put out by the Bridgewater Lions Club. We'll talk to the crew that decorate a popular site for the holidays coming up on our holiday special later this month.
That's right. Another popular holiday tradition returns here in town as the Garden Club decorated houses with greens. Again, we'll have more on this and other holiday celebrations coming up the week before Christmas for our annual holiday special from Christmas on the Common. The Lions Club hosted the 11th annual Peace Poster Contest at the Senior Center earlier this month. There were over 100 posters on display based on the theme Kindness Matters. The top 3 posters, along with 7 honorable mentions, will take home prizes at the Lions meeting coming up in December. For the 19th straight year, Bridgewater police and volunteers served up the turkey, potatoes, stuffing, and pies to residents at the Senior Center. State Rep Angela D'Amelia was on hand for the event that helps kick off the holiday season. During the dinner, Police Chief Chris Del Monte thanked everybody who came to the dinner, but also took a moment to remember those that were lost over the past year.
Just want to take a minute, and I wanted to say, you know, every year we see a lot of friendly faces, and we really appreciate that you take the time to come out. It's our pleasure to be here on behalf of the police department, but also we're members of the community too. And every year we also see a few that we don't get to see. Those familiar faces that aren't able to return that have passed on. So we just wanted to remember those people as well.
I think we need to say thank you to Chief Del Monte. And I say it again every year, and I sincerely mean it, and I know all of you will agree, we have the best police department ever, don't we? They are outstanding. So I want to thank the chief, I want to thank the officers, their spouses, family members, the volunteers, everybody who helped to put this together. It's a lot of work. And I know it's one of our most popular events, and we really enjoy it.
Now, it's not every day you walk or drive down the street and there's baked goods and coffee and tea free to take, no strings attached.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. But you know what? Throughout the fall, a pastor who just moved to Bridgewater a few months ago is introducing herself to the community and a chance to spread some hospitality. Pastor Alicia Velez Stewart has been in Bridgewater for a few months and has already started making an impact in the community. Thursday mornings during the fall offer the opportunity for the pastor from Bridgewater United Methodist Church to talk to people with no strings attached.
This is what we call spirituality and hospitality. We're giving out free tea and treats and conversation to anybody who walks by, just to let them know that there is some joy in the world when things feel like they're kind of falling apart. It's just our way of providing some joy and some warmth in the world. And so when we say, you know, come and share with us, folks aren't really sure what to do with that, because there seems to be this expectation that we're going to try to convert them or bring them into the church, and it's really just our way of extending hospitality and letting everyone know that we're here and we love them.
The event has been successful over the fall, from police officers to first-time visitors to the town to even bus drivers. For Pastor Stewart, this is all about reaching out to the community and the university, and some even made this part of their weekly schedule.
People aren't sure yet what to make of it, because we do offer it without any strings attached. It's a great way for me to meet folks and to meet the students and meet people who are in the neighborhood. It's been fantastic. We've even had students who've seen us the last couple of weeks coming back to say hello and introduce themselves and take part.
We all have our own times to start decorating the house and start playing holiday music. Certainly, I am more of a right after Thanksgiving, as my co-anchor is more later in December.
December 26th.
Some people maybe thought I was humbugs, John, but others look forward to the holidays on December 26th. We all have different ways of acting to the first playing of Jingle Bells. Mary Everest decorated our lobby, and she has more.
The holiday season has a way of creeping up on us. We've all been there. We're driving to work on a mid-November morning, thinking about our Thanksgiving plans, and then boom, there it is, Christmas music. Or if you've ever been in a car with Jeff Fowler, it happens around midnight on Halloween. According to Dr. Scott B. at the Cleveland Clinic, the way our brain associates holiday music can also affect how we perceive the holiday season as a whole.
If it starts too soon and people tend to have stress responses to the holidays, it activates those stress responses early to shop, to produce a perfect holiday. If people are prone to that perfectionism, hearing Christmas music too soon can create those associations and ramp up the tension well before anything is really happening.
Dr. B says that people who have childhood memories of great holidays full of celebration and good feelings often get excited about the early tunes. On the flip side, if someone has difficult memories associated with the holidays, hearing music that is associated with this time of year may bring back some not so pleasant feelings. In fact, one poll shows that almost 25% of Americans say the most stress-inducing part about the holidays is listening to the music. For others, simply getting the festivities out of order just doesn't feel right. Dr. B says that many people don't like it when they see decorations for different holidays colliding in the store, and this can actually create a stress response in our brains. But he says that retailers often break out the holly as early as possible because research shows that playing Christmas music combined with holiday scents leads shoppers to buy more and spend more time in the store. Dr. B says that if you're not the type that's ready to sing Jingle Bells before Thanksgiving turkey is carved, you can always tune it out until you're ready to get into the holiday spirit.
You know, you have to block it out a little bit. You can do it physically. If you have little earbuds or something you could put in to cancel it out. You change the station if they're playing Christmas songs a little too early. You have a little governance over how this might affect you.
Dr. B says that most aspects of Christmas music that we can all agree on is that most songs are overplayed. He says that even if it was your favorite song at one point, sometimes hearing it too much can make it get on your nerves. For Bridgewater Review, I'm Mary Evers. Back to you, Mr. Grinch.
Well, thank you, Cindy Lou Who. And SpaceX is set to lift off on its maiden voyage. This will take place on January 7th at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This is a big milestone for the commercial program, which is looking to send people to space from a U.S. launch site for the first time in about 10 years. This launch has special meaning as it will be launching from the site of the Apollo 11 launch almost 50 years ago. NASA says that this test launch will provide data on the performance of the capsule known as Falcon 9, as well as docking and landing operations and more. Elon Musk said the goal is to launch his first crewed mission coming up in June of 2019.
Looking at weather now, and California saw its biggest outbreak of wildfires in the state's history. The largest fire in the outbreak, the Camp Fire, killed 85 people and destroyed thousands of homes, burned over 150,000 acres, and burned down the entire town of Paradise. Obviously a sad situation in California, but there was a point this month when this became a national problem in weather. Smoke from the fires reached across the entire country, and you can see on the map the blue streak reaching from California to southern New England, causing some hazy skies, creating interesting sunsets. This actually happens a lot with larger fires, and according to meteorologists, smoke gets caught up in the upper atmosphere and travels east with the upper level winds. It travels along the jet stream, giving us a little bit of smoke, but obviously nothing like what they're dealing with out west.
And I remember when there were those Canadian wildfires, there was a big billow of smoke that actually came into southern New England, Bridgewater, and it was just really hazy, and the sunset kind of looked hazy, and it was, I think, September, October. It was kind of cool out weather-wise, but then you have a bunch of smoke coming in. You can actually feel it in the air as well, which is what's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's definitely a very sad situation. For reference, Paradise is about the size of Bridgewater in terms of population, so it would be like the entire town of Bridgewater burned down, which is just, if you put it in those terms, it's kind of incredibly powerful and moving and sad at really what happened out there.
Scary situation.
Absolutely. When we come back, we'll have your news notes, plus the fall sports season is done, which means it's time to look forward to winter sports schedule with Brian Berard, who has more. Back in 60.
How long have we been married now?
For 76 years.
He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these
Welcome back to the
years
Bridgewater
that we
Review.
have
I'm
been
Brian
married.
Berard with the rest of you.
We
Sports
decided
Update.
on Meals on Wheels because at my age, I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
That's Jenny, but that's not Jenny's dad. If she gets into that car, that may be the last time you'll see Jenny. I'm McGruff, the crime dog. See those kids? Every day in this country, 60 kids disappear. Some run away, but a lot are kidnapped by strangers, or even by people they know. So write to McGruff and teach your kids to protect themselves. Help take a bite out of crime.
Welcome back to the Bridgewater Review. I'm Brian Berard with the rest of your sports update. Scoring 110 career goals, captain of the soccer team for multiple seasons, and now a Division I collegiate soccer player. Bridgewater Rainham striker Brooke Covino signed her national letter of intent to play for the University of Rhode Island Rams. The Rams, who play in the Atlantic 10 Conference, finished dead last this past fall and didn't register a win. They had a goal differential of -39 and only scored 10 goals in 18 matches. I'm sure Brooke Covino will make a quick change to that. In an interview with Steve Sanchez of the Taunton Gazette, Covino was asked what drew her to URI. She said, "I was attracted to the program by the coaching staff and just the positivity that came from them in the program. It's a program that is on the rise, and I just wanted to be part of something that was making its way up. Just to be able to tell how far it's come rather than be at a school that's already there. I feel as if it will make my experience more memorable and meaningful." Covino was an Eastern Mass Girls Soccer Coaches Association All-State player, an Eastern Mass Girls Soccer Coaches Association First Team All-Star, and one of the best 11 at Nationals for consecutive seasons. Covino, who was one of 13 seniors for this year's soccer club, made it back to the MIAA Division I South Sectional Quarters in back-to-back seasons. Moving on to Bridgewater State now, as both the men's and women's basketball teams have started their seasons, albeit slower than they wanted to. The men's team started off the year hosting the annual Cave Classic that featured Salve Regina, Colby Sawyer College, and Castleton State. And yet again, Bridgewater State lost its own tournament when they were eliminated by Salve Regina 91-81. In the consolation game, the Bears lost to Castleton 73-65. The Bears are still looking for their first win of the year after winning the MassCAC last season. The Lady Bears haven't fared much better as they're also winless on the year with an 0-4 record like the men. Losing by an average of 11 points, the Lady Bears in their last game could only muster up 39 points against Rhode Island College on the road. Now, one thing to point out, the Lady Bears have yet to have a home game this year, and they actually start off the year with just 2 home games in their first 12. That's all for sports. John and Scott, back to you.
Hi, Brian. Thank you. Starting now through April 1st, there will be an on-street parking ban in effect between the hours of 2 and 5 a.m. If you parked on the street or the sidewalk during these times, you will be ticketed. During plowing and sanding operations, you will be towed at your expense regardless of the time of day. The town would also like to remind residents that it's illegal to move snow or ice into the roadway or sidewalk. You may be held liable in the event of an incident. You can find the full list of regulations on the website at the bottom of your screen.
At the Bridgewater Public Library on December 8th, the Groovalatos will hold a free performance. This award-winning trio is one of the most entertaining bands in New England. They are also known as the Soul Funk Song Keepers of Native America, heralding from Cherokee, Choctaw, and Wampanoag communities. The performance starts at noon on December 8th.
At the library on December 10th, the Bridgewater Citizens for Civility and Respect will hold a presentation called Gun Safety, Gun Control, Gun Rights, and Responsibilities. This is the second part of their series of presentations called Being Neighborly, Finding Common Ground. The forum features Professor Mitch Libret from Bridgewater State University, Bridgewater Police Chief Chris Del Monte, and Kathleen Berry from Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense. The free presentation is open to the public and starts at 6:30. That's all the time we have for this edition of the program. We do have a special coming up later on this month, as we'll be coming to you from the Christmas on the Common, filming the Bridgewater Review Holiday Special. You can also stay up to date on local news on Facebook, YouTube, and btvaccess.com with Bridgewater Now and the local extended forecast. In the meantime, for Scott Olson, I'm John Luck. Thanks for watching.